Hello, this is Mr. Jarrett, and in this video tutorial, we are going to be 3D modeling this object in SOLIDWORKS. So the first thing I'm going to take note of is where the origin is, and that's located up here in the center of this circle. The second thing you'll take note of is the units, and we are working in IPS. So basically, as far as tools, if you're looking kind of through this, you see that you have 3 circles, you have 2 different arcs, maybe 2 arcs here, and some people might use a slot tool and trim it, or others might just draw 2 horizontal lines. You have 2 vertical lines, and you have this construction line that kind of runs through the middle of everything. Okay, so there are a lot of different ways to do this. I'm just going to show you one. Feel free to try and do it on your own in a different way. But I'm going to pull that to my other screen, and I will start by going File, New, and creating a new part in SOLIDWORKS. We will be sketching on the front plane, and I'll start out by drawing a bunch of circles. So before you even start, actually, I should have already mentioned this, you want to make sure you're in IPS for units. My computer defaults to that. So change yours if you are not in IPS. So I'll make a circle there, make 2 smaller circles down here. Like I said, there's plenty of different ways to draw this. How I am actually going to draw it is make 2 more circles. So I'll make a bigger one there. I'll make a bigger one here. And I'm going to use those as my arcs at the ends so that you can kind of get an idea. I'll be going here and curling up. Okay. So now I can dimension this, and it says that there are 3 holes. Okay. So all 3 of them, boom, 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 are going to be the exact same size, and it says it has a measurement of 1.06. This arc up at the top says it has a radius of 1, and TYP, that means typical. So this arc is also 1, also the exact same thing. That is a radius, keep that in mind, it's not a diameter, so you can't dimension that yet. But we can, however, select all 3 of these smaller circles and set them to equal, and we can dimension one of them. So get your dimension tool, select one of them, and make that 1.06. 1.06. Now before we go ahead and actually trim or draw the rest of this, I'm going to make sure that these 2 circles are locked into the exact spot that I want them to be. Okay, so first off, it says that this circle over here on the right, so you can just select the circle, and the origin, which you can select like that, um, left and right, so along our x, they are spread out 7.62. I'll do that again. Make sure you move over to the right here, and you notice it gives you the vertical distance. They are spread out 5.5. Okay, so that smaller circle now is locked in place. It's fully defined. So this circle, if you get off of your dimension tool, select that center point, hold in shift and select this center point. That circle is actually horizontal of this one. So we'll make those center points horizontal. So it brings that down. And now we can dimension the distance between the 2. And the distance between the 2 is 2.75. So now it also locked that one into place. So from here, I'll get my line tool and I'll move my mouse over this circle. And the other nice thing about drawing a circle, not an arc, it kind of gives me those points. And with those points, it already makes it tangent, as you can see. Okay, so I'll hit my escape key, and I'll do this again. Notice you just have to kind of move your mouse over the circle and then hesitate there. Just hold it there for a second. So we'll do that over here too. And when you hesitate, it makes those circles have those yellow dots. I'll hit escape. I'm just doing this 4 times. And now I can actually draw my arc. Okay, so here I will do a tangent arc because I have my 2 endpoints. I'll do it again. And it made a tangent on those 2 ends, just not these 2 ends. So I'll hit escape and I'll select these 2 lines by holding in shift, make that tangent. Do the same thing down here. Make that tangent. Okay, and now I can trim. So trim to closest. Trim off those two things. Let's actually dimension this. So this outside one has a radius of 1. Okay, this also has a radius of 1. So it made everything good except for these two arcs. And those two arcs, you can see right now, they have two different center points. So we actually want to make them share the same center. So we'll select both of them and make them concentric. And if it does not let you do that, then you need to figure out why. Okay, and I can tell you why. Because if we make them share the same center, we actually over-define this. We made this radius and this radius equal, and really they are equal, but if you simply just delete one of these, so I just right-clicked on that and hit delete, should fix that problem. Basically, you told SOLIDWORKS the exact same thing it already knows, and it didn't like that for some reason. Okay, so everything is still fully defined except for these arcs need to be dimensioned. So you'll notice on the picture that it doesn't dimension either one of these arcs. What it does, however, dimension is a line on the inside, okay, like a dotted line or a construction line on the inside. And it says it is 3.5, a radius of 3.5. So I'm going to pull that over, kind of show you that. The reason why I'm pulling this over to show you is so I can kind of walk you through my explanation here. If you do want to draw this construction line, you can, but you don't really have to. Once you get good enough that you can read a drawing and understand what it's basically saying, sometimes you don't even need the construction lines as long as you put in the right dimensions and the right relations. So in this case, I don't need to put that in. So you'll notice that this arc up at the top is a radius of 1. So that means from this side of the circle over to the center is 1. It's the same thing here. So from the center to this side is 1, meaning the distance between this curve and this construction line is 1. Okay, same thing here is 1. So what I'm trying to say is, instead of dimensioning and drawing this extra line, you just dimension this curve or this curve, you just have to either add 1 or subtract 1. So this curve should have a radius of 2.5, and this bigger one should have a radius of 4.5. Okay, so you only have to dimension one of them. So I'll just dimension the smaller one. And if you make that 2.5, it'll lock that into place. Now we can go to the Features tab and hit Extrude. And this has a material thickness of 0.15, and it has a negative Z, so that means we're going to be going backwards. Hit the green check. Change your materials to ABS. I can tell you that is not one of these defaults. ABS PC is there, but we just want normal ABS. So we'll have to do Edit Material. And ABS, if you don't already know, is a plastic. So if you scroll all the way down, there is the plastics folder, and you want normal ABS. Apply and close. And if we go up to Evaluate and Mass Properties, you should get 0.13 pounds with a positive X, a negative Y, and a negative Z. Okay, so if you got that, you can save it and move on to the next one. If you didn't, please problem solve and figure out where you went wrong.